Hello, hello, and welcome. I can see some familiar faces coming in. Let me know where you are today, where you are in the world today. I'd love to know where people are coming in from. I'm still in Leeds at the moment. I will be for the next few times, I think, before I head off in travel the motorhome for a big trip at the end of August, which is going to be um, nearly a full through, about 18 days again. So that's exciting. So let me know where in the world you are. Let me know what time of day it is where you are. And let me know if you're, what's brought you here today? What are you interested in finding out about? We're talking about overwhelm today. What a subject it is. Let's not get too overwhelmed with it though. And let me know whether you're a business owner, whether you're somebody who's employed. It doesn't really matter. It's helpful for everybody. Is this morning, Jennifer? Lovely to see you again. So good to have somebody here on a regular basis. I love seeing familiar faces now. It's getting really nice to try and put the names to the faces. I start to see the faces bobbing up at the bottom, and then I have to try and remember the names, which is not my perhaps not my forte. Perhaps I shouldn't say that too much because maybe it is my forte, but I just don't say it enough. I don't say that I am good with memory and names and things. I'm good at memory generally. Hello again, C. Lovely to see you. Let me know where in the world you are. Let me know how your weather is today. The sun is back in Leeds. Is the sun back in Brighton? I hope so. We've had a wet few days, haven't we? I don't know if you've had it as wet down there, but it's been really wet over the last few days. But we're back with the sun again now. And Germany, it's cool there. Do you mean cool as in great, or cool as in it's cold? Um, we've had it has actually been cold here. Like overnight last night, I think it was about 9 degrees, which is quite cold for a July night, shall we say? But it is. We're up to 15 degrees today, so it's heading in the right direction. Well, in more of a July direction, I suppose. So so far I've got two very familiar faces. So let me know if you're new to me. Or whether you're somebody who's been here before, now known as repeat offenders. Let me know let me know if you've tried any of my courses or listened to any of my free tracks, and what you've discovered there. Today, as always, we're sharing everything is from a three principles perspective. That doesn't mean I necessarily talk endlessly about the three principles. We talk more about the implications of the three principles, because that's what matters really. Doesn't really matter too much what the three principles are, although obviously it's useful to know what they are. But actually, the main thing is the implications, the way life works, because of these three principles. So thank you, Rachel. Rachel, you're from Kent. So again, not too far. When I say not too far, it's quite a long way, but not when relative to when we've often got people from Germany and other parts of the world here. And you came yesterday and you've come back for more, which is lovely. That's really good to hear, Rachel. And I think that's the thing about the three principles, is that you hear it and then you're like, oh, this is something a little bit different. This is something that I maybe haven't heard before. And particularly if you've tried a lot of things. So let me know in the comments if you tried a lot of things to feel better. So you may have been round the houses. I know I went round the houses for a long time, trying all sorts of different tools and techniques and therapies and books and different teachers and all sorts of things, and found that I kind of felt okay, but it felt like it needed me to work at it to maintain it. And that's what we're looking to end, really. Just to put it bluntly, that's what we're looking to move away from in this conversation. Away from that continual need to keep doing things, to fix ourselves, to keep doing the tools, to keep doing the techniques. So that's where we're looking towards when we're here. So I'm really glad I've got some people here to talk to. And now I'm going to say a little bit more about the 3 principles. So the 3 principles, something I came across in at the start of 2020. As I say, I had been trying lots of things to feel okay for a long time before that. And when I came across the 3 principles, it really did change. It really did change everything for me, and allowed a lot of that stuff I was doing to try and make myself feel okay to fall away. And that included, trying to make a lot of changes in my outside world, but also working on me a lot. That kind of fell away. And I love that, Rachel. It is that, isn't it? That feeling of needing to keep looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And, you find something that works for a bit, you think, and then it kind of stops working. And so then you've got to find another thing. Or even if the thing's working, I put that in inverted commas, because what does that really mean? It's working. Well, because it's somehow temporarily probably distracting you from everything else you're feeling. And therefore it kind of makes you feel better. But then we're back to the rest of life again, aren't we? And if we don't keep doing those tools and techniques, we find that we slip back into how we were feeling before. And this really is the antidote to that. The 3 principles of thought, mind, and consciousness are just a description of how life works, really, like the little puzzle pieces that come together to create our experience. Oh, see, you wish to get rid of should. Yeah, and that is, and what you're saying there about loads of interesting projects that you could be working on, but too much, and that becomes very overwhelming. So we will be talking about that a bit today, in this context of talking about overcoming overwhelm, because it's about getting some clarity, isn't it, about what the thing is that's the right thing for us to do, a lot of it, because otherwise I'm like you. See, I have a lot of ideas. I'm a real ideas person, but actually what I've noticed more recently, as my head has become quieter and quieter, there are less ideas, but the ones that I really probably would be fun to follow are very persistent. They keep coming back and saying, hey, just to remind you, I'm here and you've not done anything about me yet. And that's good, because I was like you, I had so many ideas. I did feel very overwhelmed by them. And now they seem to come, they're coming with a lovely feeling, and they're coming with the energy that you'd want them to have, but there's less of them. One of the things has been spending more time on this lovely platform, because I seem to have a lot less to think about in terms of how many different social media posts I think I should be doing. I'm not doing those anymore, and that's great. That's a lot less to do. So that creates some space, I think, within me. Yes, see, creative person with many ideas and projects, but tough deadlines, high expectations on my work by myself. Yeah, isn't it funny how we create? I'm not sure if you sound like you're self-employed. See, I love to work with self-employed people, but I work with people who are working as well. But yeah, we end up then, we create these expectations, we create these deadlines, and then we beat ourselves up for not doing them, which is just really interesting. Right, we'll crack on with the subject. Okay, educational business, not self-employed at the moment. I like the at the moment. Maybe looking towards that. That's exciting times, I think, isn't it? So let's talk about overwhelm. So I was very overwhelmed for probably most of my life, and it's really, I would say, it still comes up sometimes, but not like it used to, and it doesn't grip quite as much as it used to. So let's talk about what overwhelm really is, because this is what I hear that it is from lots of people. I hear that it is, I've got lots of things to do, I've got lots of ideas, I've got lots of deadlines, I've got a long list. Well, who's got a long list? Actually, my list isn't that long. Probably because every so often I just go, well, I'm not doing that, so I'll cross it off. But we've got a long list. We might have, particularly for us women, we might have a lot of other people to think about. We might have children, we might have parents, we might have animals, a partner, whatever. We've got a lot. It looks like there's a lot out there, doesn't there? Yeah, expectations from our family as well. Thank you, Sue. Now, what it then it starts to feel. We feel that in our bodies, don't we? I mean, maybe you've got a sense of what the feeling of overwhelm feels like for you. For me, it's almost like, have you seen that cartoon where there's a foot? You see a close in, and there's a foot on somebody's chest, on a person's chest. But then you see the next picture, it's kind of zoomed out, and you see that there's somebody's hand inside a boot, putting it onto their chest, onto their head. I can't remember which it is. But it's such a brilliant cartoon, because I used to think life was the first cartoon, that stuff out there was hindering my breathing, that was pressing down on me, that gave that. I mean, what does overwhelm feel like to you? It feels heavy to me. Heavy, but almost with a buzz as well, because there's a bit of anxiety with it, isn't there? But it feels heavy. It's very heavy. And I used to think that that was the outside world, and that meant that kind of, well, I could kind of try and get rid of it by doing lots of stuff. Tension, hurrying, restlessness. Totally get that, see, absolutely. So I used to think, well, how do I get rid of this feeling of overwhelm? Well, I'll have to just work all the hours that God sends. So, when I was a primary school head teacher, I did work ridiculously long hours. So, excuse me, it's interesting to see that you're in education too. But I was a primary school head teacher, and I led a school of 500 children between the ages of 3 and 11. In my second post, my first post was a smaller school than that. But I would often work 16-hour days. I would often do, I don't know how many hours it tallied up to in the week, but it was a heck of a lot, 50 to 80 hours, depending on what was going on. I was known to pull all-nighters to get stuff done, particularly when Ofsted came knocking on the door. They're the people who inspect the schools in this country. So it looked to me that I just had to keep doing, that I couldn't really stop. And that restlessness you've talked about, see, that was very present for me. So I'd be sitting watching television, and I'd be like, couldn't sit still, couldn't keep myself still. I would have to be doing something else at the same time. Very, very fidgety. Still am quite fidgety. I usually have a little piece of blue tack. And I'm because I've had my nails done. Started having my nails done because I'm a skin picker. So I used to pick skin on my thumbs a lot. At the heart's because somebody else knows about this fidgeting thing. I would pick because that would be something to do with my hands. It wasn't because I particularly liked picking my fingers, but it was just something to do. And so I often have now I've got my nails done. I don't really, I don't tend to pick them when they're done. But excuse me, I thought I'd had a decent night's sleep last night, and now I'm really yawning. I'm not sure why, but I often fidget with a piece of blue tack. So there is still a bit of remnants of that going on, but that's okay. I heard on a podcast this morning, I heard the teacher say, the 3 principles teacher, she said, if we've been hurtling along for a long time and very fast, then and then somebody puts like a train, we're like, whoa, we're powering on, we're being busy, we're keeping going. And then we put the brakes on the train. It's going to take a while for it to stop. So, if you're looking in this direction, you will start to notice that you're not quite so busy-minded. There will be a bit more ease and a bit more calm, but it's not going to all disappear overnight. So now I'm fiddling with my piece of blue tack. So the overwhelmed feeling for me was very similar to what C has shared there. It's sort of a buzzing tension, fizzy feeling often the time. I would say when I was burning out, it's like I was wired, or like there was somebody putting electric shocks through me. Yeah, very, very kind of wired feeling. And sometimes it just became so overwhelming that I would just grind to a halt and go to bed. And just like as I got closer and closer to burnout, the result was me doing not very much at all, like just feeling so overwhelmed by it all. So I took on a new headship in September of 2014, and it was March 2015 when finally I walked out of work and didn't go back. And that was because I was burnt out. But as I went towards that burnout, as my system just started to sort of shut down, really, at the weekends I just would do nothing. I would lie on the sofa and sometimes not even watch television, just try to sleep, because my sleep had also gone completely to pot. So I think, but at that point, so talking about what overwhelm really is, went off on a little tangent then. Do like to do that. You'll get used to it. I would say that then I thought overwhelm is because I feel overwhelmed because I've got so much to do. But I now see it really, really differently. Yes, in the world out there, we may have some things on a list, a lot of things on a list sometimes. And that seems to be part of life these days, doesn't it? But, well, first of all, where did the list come from? If you're self-employed, or even if you're employed and you're putting things on a list, do they all need to be there? So the list contents come from our thinking. That's the first thing. So can you see how thought is generating this whole thing bit by bit? And then what I've often said about overwhelm is that overwhelm is not everything you've got to do, but it is thinking you have to do it all now, all at once. Because we feel overwhelmed, not like the list, like I've got a notepad here, I've got many things on my list, but the list isn't doing this, is it? The list isn't squashing us down. The list is some words, letters, marks, ink marks on a piece of paper. Even the fact that we think that's words is made up, isn't it? the whole thing. But it's not those things on that list. It's our thinking about those things on the list. It's thinking that we have to do them all at the same time. It's being, what we could be, which is it's doing one task and thinking about all the other tasks at the same time. That's what's creating the overwhelm, because our brain doesn't distinguish between your reality of what you're actually doing. So you're really doing one thing. So, doing one thing on my list. My head is talking about all the other things. And my system doesn't know that I don't have to do all those things now. So my system starts to ramp up, because my system is going, what the heck? How can we do all these things at once? How are we going to cope with that? So it isn't. Even just looking at your list, have you noticed how even just looking at your list can make you feel, you don't even have to read the things on it, but just looking at the length of it can create a feeling of overwhelm. Like sometimes I have a lot of messages, and I can find myself looking at all the messages and thinking, it's a lot of messages to reply to, and feeling overwhelmed. I've not even opened them. All the messages might just have 3 words in them. I've already created a mess in my head, believing that I've got to deal with all those messages at the same time. So overwhelm is not an outside in thing. It's an inside out thing. It's thinking that we've got to do it all now. So let me know in the comments if you're hearing something a bit different there. can see a few more familiar faces have bobbed up at the bottom, so I'd love it for you to say hello to. I think I can see Jenny. Unfortunately, I've got a little bar along the bottom and it's hiding everybody's faces, but I think I've seen Jenny there. So please do say, yeah, I think we've got 2 Jennys here today. I think we have, haven't we? Yeah, I've got a Jennifer and a Jenny. So yeah, say hello. Oh, Sunita's here. Morning, Sunita. Lovely to see you. So yeah, let me know if that's resonating. This first of all, the feeling. What does it feel like to you? The overwhelm. Oh, bless you, C. That's so lovely. I hope they're tears of relief. Yeah, and the familiarity with the examples. Well, I hope not too familiar, sweetheart, because not particularly recommended burnout. I mean, do I recommend burnout? I don't know. I think it's maybe better than the alternatives. I mean, to me, I when I burnt out in 2015, I thought it was terrible. Oh, bless you, Jenny. Well, I hope I lull you back to sleep, Jenny, because it's an hour of the night there, isn't it? Oh, bless you, Jenny. I see you as a friend too. That's lovely. Yeah, burnout. I'm grateful it happened. It wasn't fun, but I do often say, I was saying it earlier today. I'm grateful that was what my body did. It made me stop rather than the alternative. I'm so sorry for the massive amount of yawning today, but the alternative would be, of course, I felt that if I'd carried on the way I was going, then, a heart attack or a stroke would be the alternative. And that's no way to go, is it? Happens to lots of people in their 50s. So I'm in many ways grateful that, 8 years ago now, more than 8 years ago, I walked out of work and never went back. My life has come a long way and been amazing since then, really. So back to Overwhelm. Let me know what you're hearing so far. Let me know if it's resonating. And what's your experience of Overwhelm? What have you noticed about it? How does it come up for you? Because I think it's different for everybody. How you actually experience it. But the source is the same. Overwhelm is caused by overthinking, too much thinking, having a really busy mind. That's it, really. It's that simple. So what can we do about it? Well, as little as possible. You're not here to find out tools and techniques. So if you're here for tools and techniques to overcome overwhelm, then you're in the wrong place. But I think what happens when we start to understand something in a really simple way, we start to understand, oh yeah, when I think about my list and think, oh my God, look at the size of it, and isn't it awful, and how many things do I have to do, we feel terrible. You'll have noticed that. Whereas when we're going to go there, Jenny, bit by bit. I think by the first thing, Jenny, is to stop trying to stop it. How the hell do we stop it? Stop trying to stop it. That's the first thing, because if we take I'm going to use my piece of blue tack. If we take the diamond metaphor, which I've shared before, it's not a diamond, it's still a square, but hold it that way, it'll feel like a diamond. We take there's the diamond, the essence of who you are, the truth of who you are, the calm, peace, love, wisdom, confidence, etc. And then there's the thinking covering over. If we're already feeling overwhelmed because we've got a lot of thinking about everything we've got to do, then we're like, well, and then how do I control the feeling I've got now? And that's more thinking. Can you hear? That's more noise. Like what we're looking for is underneath the noise, which is the name of a very nice podcast, actually. What we're looking for is underneath the noise. It isn't If we go to start trying to fix the feeling, we're going to put more noise into the system. And here we're trying to subtract, because when we subtract, we reconnect to this essence of who we are, this core of who we are, the diamond inside. We reconnect to that. That's inside us all the time, and there's nowhere to go to find that. But if we look towards subtraction, we will see it more often. Yeah. So dealing with deadlines, absolutely, that can feel really, really overwhelming. Like there's something that has to be done, and it has to be done now, or it has to be done yesterday. Often it can feel like that, can't it? But it's still how you're thinking about it. It's still, well, what's the next thing to do? You know, with selling your house, is you can only do what you can do. Just do the next piece of paperwork, fill in the next form, sign the next document, speak to the next person you need to speak to. Just one step at a time. Hi, Andy. Good to see you. So, Jenny, you found some meditations by David Ginnett. Get unstuck, witness and acceptance. They can help to distance. Yeah, I mean, if you find things like that helpful, that's great. It's just watching out for that becoming another crutch. You know, another thing. I have to keep doing that. If I keep doing this meditation, I'll be all right. But what I would love you to see, and you can see it sometimes in meditation, is that is inside you. That feeling of calm isn't in a meditation. The meditation helps you to see it because you are distracted by the voice of the person. And for a while, you think about overwhelm. We're saying overwhelm is about overthinking, too much thinking. You do a meditation with the lovely David G. Is that how you say it? David G. You will, for a while, be distracted. And so while your thinking's off into somebody's nice voice and somebody's conversation and everything, for a while, you're not focusing on thinking about your list. So you go into the meditation thinking about your list and all the things you've got to do, and then you listen to a lovely man's voice. And you start to feel calmer because you, like, probably while you're listening to my voice, a similar thing is happening. Because you're not thinking about the stuff you've got to do right now. Or you're thinking about it a bit less because you're listening to me. And so for a while, your mind is distracted. Your busy mind is distracted for a while. And you're listening to me. So that place of calm is exposed. Because you're not in the busy thinking that was hiding it, the overwhelm and the overthinking. So, Andy, you overthink. Well, you're definitely in the right place today. Definitely. And good morning, Fanaz. And you're not too late. Well, we started a little while ago, half an hour nearly. But you know I do screen record these, so you can catch up on my YouTube channel later. I notice a few people have subscribed to that, which is great because then you'll get to see them. And I'm also, what I'm finding I'm doing now is each time I make one of these, and then I'm recording a little shorter track that you can listen to. It'll be a free track with the same title. So there's like a shorter way to catch up on what I've said. I can't guarantee I say exactly the same thing because I won't do. So yeah, I think you're right there. See, meditations can help to start somewhere and to get clarity. Maybe if you're very busy minded at the moment and you're noticing that, then maybe it's helpful to do something that helps you to feel better. And I think what I've noticed with the 3 principles is that what I need to do to feel better has got less and less over the years of exploring this. So often now it's just, like people often tell you when they start a meditation, feel your feet on the floor, take a breath. That's it, and that can bring me back into the present moment. And then there's clarity, and then there's more ease around doing the things we would like to get done. So what can we, Jenny asked earlier, what the hell can we do about this feeling of overwhelm? So the first thing is to notice it. Now, I used to notice it when I didn't have this inside out understanding. And when I noticed it, I thought it meant I had to work harder to get rid of it. So I would work harder, because I thought, well, if I get the jobs done, then I'll feel better, because it's the jobs, it's the number of jobs I've got. Get rid of those, I'll feel okay. So I worked too hard and burnt myself out. Now, so that's looking in the outside in direction. So we're going to look at the inside out direction to what overwhelm. We've talked a bit about what it is, but to talk about the feeling. So if we think it's outside in and we feel overwhelmed, it'll look like we've got to get everything done faster and faster and faster. We've got, if we don't get things done, we're going to not sleep, because we're going to be thinking about the things we've got to get done. We're going to be not in a very good place, are we? Whereas when we know the truth, and the truth is that it's inside out, we behave in a very different way. So we can see then that this uncomfortable feeling we've got, we've talked about, perhaps it feels like pressing on a chest, it feels jittery, we feel sped up. We notice perhaps the busyness in the mind and the fizziness in the mind. Now, what I would love you to see is that that's a warning from your system, not a warning about the outside world and that you've got too many things to do, but a warning to let you know how you're thinking about those things, or what your state of mind is right now. Like a state of mind indicator, like state of mind traffic lights. So that becomes a signal to let you know that you are misusing the power of thought right now. Now, I don't want you to take that as, oh, I'm doing it wrong, I should do life better, and I'm misusing the power of thought, so I'm a bit rubbish and all of that. Don't take it that way. But just to know, oh, my thinking's gone off. My state of mind's not good. This is a time for me to do something about that, not So I'm just going to pause for a minute and answer Heidi's question. So Heidi, it's getting light here at 4:45 a.m. on the East Coast. I need to go to sleep. Bless you. So I do have some Insight Timer tracks on Overwhelm already. I think I do have a lot of tracks. But what I will be doing as well is I'll be screen recording this, Heidi, and I will be also putting it onto YouTube. And there also will be an audio probably come out in the next week or so on the same subject. So there's lots and lots of tracks. If you don't already follow me, please do follow me, because there's lots of free tracks, and there's lots of there's now 3 courses, and number 4 has been submitted today. So hopefully next week or so that'll be out. And love to you too, from southern Maine in Wabanaki territory, the northeast of America. So good luck with getting back to sleep, Heidi. I've been awake since 5 a.m. That's kind of but it sounds like perhaps you haven't been to sleep yet. So lots of love. I do have a track about sleep. It's not a meditation, but it's I find it helpful to change my perspective. Take care, Heidi. Lots of love. Maybe just listening to this in the background will help. But I do hope you get to sleep soon. Take care. So yeah, we're looking at life either from an outside in perspective or an inside out perspective. And in this conversation, we're looking at inside out, because really that's the truth. So whenever we're looking at outside in, we're going to be in a place of confusion, and that's going to create more overwhelm. So like earlier on, somebody was saying, what do we do about, we've got the overwhelm, we've got lots of thinking going on. What do we do about the overwhelm? Well, don't do anything about the overwhelm. Just see it differently. Because by going into doing about the overwhelm, we're going to create even more overwhelm. Because that's how it works. That's how we fill up our head with more and more and more thinking. So let's look at what inside out means for that feeling of overwhelm. It means that you're thinking a lot. And then what to do next will make sense from that place. And it will be something around knocking it on the head, the thinking. So, those of you that have followed me before and been here before, got quite a lot of familiar faces, but I bet I've got some new people. Let me know if you are new. And you won't have seen me hitting myself on the head with a ruler. I haven't done this. I did this yesterday, but I haven't done it for a while before that. But, if I'm hitting myself on the head with the ruler, I'm telling you all about, I've got this headache on this side of my head, it won't go away. And I've also got a tickle now. I can't get it to go away. And I've tried everything, and I've been finding out about aromatherapy oil. Take care, Heidi. I've been finding out about aromatherapy oil, and I've been sniffing all sorts of things, and I've been drinking loads of water, and blah 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 blah. I've tried loads of things to get rid of my headache, and it won't go away. And you're going to say, well, do you want to stop hitting yourself on the head with a ruler? Which I will then do. So what I'm hopefully going to helping you to see is that it is not the outside world. It is your train of thought that you're on. And what the 3 principles does, I'm seeing more and more, is allow you to, it's like the light, when the train stops in the station and the light comes on and says, yeah, you can get off here now. You can press the open button. Lights up, doesn't it? There's a light, a chink, where I hope you can start to see that you can stop thinking about things. You can, I've had a little wobble about something just before coming on here, and I could see myself starting to go. And I just thought, no, you know what's going to happen. If I follow that train of thought, I'm going to go into overwhelm. I'm going to go into a place of discomfort. And I'm about to do a live on Insight Time, and that's not where I want to be. Everybody's wishing everybody to go to sleep, which if you're listening to this and you're dozing off, that's just perfect. It'll be just what you need. I used to get very overwhelmed about sleep. I had sleep anxiety for a long time, so I kind of know about not getting sleep, but I sleep pretty well now. Hurrah for that. And it was by stopping trying to do things about sleep, just the way as overwhelm's gone, by stopping trying to do something about overwhelm. So this is the process, and the process is just what happens when we know. So I pick up my list, and I look at my list and go, oh, look at my list. It's quite that big my list, but let's imagine it's huge. Look at my list, and oh my God, look at it all. There's loads to do, and what am I going to do about it? There's where do we even start? It's just overwhelming, and I start to notice that I'm feeling this heaviness, this buzzy feeling, this uncomfortable feeling. Now, as I said before, I've got to get through the list today. That's the way, if I'm outside in, I've got to get through this list. And the only thing that's going to relieve this horrible feeling is getting through the list. So then I work till stupid hours of the early morning or late into the night or whatever to try and get it done. Or I get up really early to do more. But if I look at the list and I start to feel overwhelmed and I say, you're on the overwhelmed thinking train here, because I notice my body's screaming at me saying, whoa, watch out for this train of thought you're going on. And then there's all sorts of things I might do. So I might put the list down and go make a cup of tea. I might take a breath. I might go, right, well, what am I going to do first? I'll just do this thing. I'll put the list down and I'm doing the thing. Because the alternative can often be freeze, can't it? We talk in a stress response because overwhelm brings about that stress response quite often. And we can find ourselves feeling overwhelmed and then feeling really stressed and then just freezing and doing nothing. Has anybody here noticed that overwhelm leads to freeze, to just doing nothing. Then to procrastination, perhaps you might call it, to kind of being in that freeze state. They talk about fight, flight, or freeze, don't they? And often, I think the feeling of overwhelm leads to freeze. We then don't do anything. There's lots of comments coming in about sleep. I'm not going to cover sleep today, so I'm sorry about that. So I perhaps will cover sleep in another track, but I do work with people around sleep, to help them. And yeah, I can relate to being stressed about not sleeping and anxious about not sleeping. But and I do have a track. It's just called Sleep, I think, and it's just a sharing of what I've seen around sleep, because that's really what we do a lot in the 3 principles, is just share what we've seen about it. So it's worth listening to that for Naz, and Andy as well. Yeah, just go and have a look at that. So yeah, Namisha, you say you tend to feel frozen when you're overwhelmed, and then it's like a self perpetuating thing, isn't it? Because we feel overwhelmed, so we freeze, and then we don't do anything, and then we look at our list again, and of course nothing's come off the list because we've frozen or we've been procrastinating or whatever, and then it becomes a self. So it really does have a lot to do with productivity. I'm just going to grab my remarkable. I've got some notes about the other things that we've been covering. So we do end up in a cycle then of overwhelm, freeze, and then not really doing what to do, and then more overwhelmed because we haven't done the things that we thought we wanted to do. I think one of the things I did once was I used to have a lot of things on my list that were ideas. Has anybody somebody were talking earlier about ideas, weren't you, having lots of ideas? Who was it who was talking about that? Was it Jen? Who was it? I can't remember. So many comments. Oh, it was C, I think, earlier, talking about having lots and lots of ideas for your business, ideas for your life, ideas about things you would love to do. One thing I did do was move all my ideas to a different list. So I didn't have to look at them all the time and think they were things to do when they were just ideas of things I might do in the future, maybe. And that's quite helpful. I'm thinking now that I've got quite a few of those things on my list. Yeah, Sunita, I can relate to that. So you procrastinate because you don't feel, and want to feel more motivated, I guess you're saying, and then you hate it as everything gets affected. And so this is a place where, especially if we're feeling overwhelmed, there is a space here for self-compassion, a huge space for self-compassion. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, whatever space we're in with something, is the space we are in that moment, and it's because that's what makes sense to us. And beating ourselves up because we're not somewhere else is not going to help. Can you hear, Sunita, how that's just more thinking? So we're procrastinating, we're not as motivated as we want to be, and then we're feeling bad, and then we've got even more noise in our head, and feeling bad does not. It fills our head with more noise, and then we're not connected to this innate productivity that we have, this innate ability to do things. So here's a little bit more about this that hopefully will be helpful. It's come up quite a bit on this month when we're exploring creativity, is we tend to, as human beings, to be dictated to by our feelings. If I feel this way, I can't do something. So going back to feeling motivated, I'm talking about this as if it's a real thing, and it just isn't. There is no such thing as motivation. You're either doing a thing or you're not. And you don't have to feel a particular way to do something. So this is a fun thing to play with. And all of these things are just an invitation to experiment. Do something when you feel overwhelmed. Just do something. Just pick up that list and do something. And try it. Try playing there. And these are not tools or techniques. They're for you to see what's possible, for you to have an insight and see something different. Because what I see is that when we feel a certain way, we're dealing with overwhelm today, but you could be dealing with anxiety or anything. It doesn't really matter. When we feel a certain way, we think that has something to do with our abilities right there and then. We think our feelings are telling us what we can and can't do, and they're not. That is categorically rubbish. Your feelings do not know what you are capable of. Your thoughts don't even know what you're capable of. You know, I remember the first time I heard it, I was listening to an audiobook in the kitchen. I'm doing that because the kitchen is through that wall. But I was in the kitchen, I was getting ready in the morning, I was just listening to an audiobook about 3 principles. I can't remember which one it was. And it was what the F are the principles by Amir Karkuti. And he talked about what makes you think you have to feel a certain way to do things. And I was like, well, you do, don't you? Arms folded in my head. I wasn't talking to the audiobook. I was in my head saying, well, yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. You can't feel, you've got to feel motivated. It's a thing. It's a thing to feel motivated. And I was like, but he carried on and he explored it further, and I really saw it. I really saw it that day. I just thought, oh my God. We're spending our whole lives waiting to feel a particular way before doing things. Why? Why have we got this idea that our feelings can dictate what we can and can't do? And you know, that's me coming from a completely outside in idea about this, where I thought I've got to get all my ducks in a row. So that involved me doing particular morning rituals and routines in order to get my mind to be in the right state. And then I would, do all the right stuff and yoga and meditation and gratitude journals and affirmations and and listen to the right motivational session or something. And then I thought that this beam of light called motivation would come down and hit me on the head, and that would have me do things. And then I would be able to do anything I wanted to do. And it just didn't work. Some days it did, or it seemed to. I think some days I was naturally more inclined to do things than others. I probably had less on my mind some days than I did on others, and therefore got things done, because that's it. You are naturally productive. That's your natural state. Look at little children and how much they do. They never stop, do they? And notice yourself when you're in a calm state of mind, how you have those days where you're just in flow and you just go boop, 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 and everything gets done. And there's no overwhelm. There's no anything. That's your natural state. And then sometimes your mind's busy and you're not in that place. But then we think, well, I have to wait then until I'm calm again. I have to wait then until I feel motivated again before I can do things. But something really potent and exciting happens to you when you do something when you don't feel like you can. A space opens up within you. Some of the old thinking falls away. You become more free. There's some freedom there. And this is interesting for me, because I used to do a lot of kind of just do the thing, like forcing myself and pushing and saying those kind of things to other people about doing the thing and forcing it. And now I say it similarly. I say do the thing and just see what happens. Play with it. Do an experiment. Do an experiment. Pick up your list, feel overwhelmed by it, and then just do a thing on your list and see what happens. Maybe you'll do the thing. Maybe then you'll do another thing. I think it's that is a life-changing understanding, to see that you don't have to feel a certain way to do things. that feeling a certain way is not a prerequisite for doing things. That's life-changing. That is the one of the keys, I think, to productivity being there more of the time, for us doing the things we really want to do, because that's it, isn't it? You know, this is why I call myself a human potential catalyst, because we have infinite potential. We have infinite, we are infinite. And then we think, and our mind becomes busy, and that covers over that potential, but it doesn't go away. It's always there. So, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about regarding overwhelm, of course? So, yeah, anything you've heard that's useful, anything you would like to say, anything that you've noticed about your own experience of this. Have you noticed a time when you've just done something and it's just worked out, even though you didn't feel like it? Everybody has. We've all done something when we didn't feel like it. You know, I remember when I was really burnt out, and there were lots of things I didn't feel like doing. I used to feel very overwhelmed very quickly then by looking at the dishwasher and contemplating and unpacking it. I would feel very overwhelmed, because my head was just mashed by then. But maybe you've noticed, yeah, I like that. See, opening space for just being. Nice. So let me tell you a little bit more about what's coming up for the rest of this week. On this list, aren't they? So Thursday the 27th, that's tomorrow, 8:05 in the morning. Mastering focus. So that's all about distraction. And I've been having. I'm going to talk a little bit tomorrow about my revelations about ADHD and being distracted, because you know I have an inclination towards distraction. On Friday the 28th at 1:11 p.m. I'll be in Trevor by then, so that'll be a Trevor one. We'll be in Trevor on Friday at 1:11. We're going to look at resilience and self-compassion from a three principles perspective, because I think both those things are really key. I've heard today a little bit from Sunita and some others about, you know, kind of beating ourselves up and being unkind to ourselves when we're not doing what we think we should be doing. So, and I've heard a little bit from Sia about shudifying and shudding ourselves. So it'd be great to see some of you on that tomorrow. So those are the last two lives of this unit on productivity. So as I said this morning, I've just finally submitted the next course, which is all about relationships. It's called Creating Harmonious Connections. Quite like the name, it rolls off the tongue. And it's number 4 of my courses. So that's not out yet, but in the meantime, you can have a look at Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease. You can have a look at Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 principles, and Stress to Success, a 3 principles approach to effortless productivity. So let me know in the comments if you've done any of my courses on here. And if you haven't, then why not? I'm only joking. So it would be great to see you as we begin exploring relationships. So there is a group now. It's called Powered by Calm. I've renamed the group because I didn't like the previous name. But we're going to look at because we really are looking at being powered by calm here and having a life that we love that is powered by calm. So great to meet some of you in that group. Please do join the group and make that a place to ask questions and connect with me more than you can do on these lives. We can have proper little conversations, and that's the other great thing about the courses. You can go and actually have chats with me on that. So anything else anybody wants to say about? Oh, Deb, bless you. So you feel the same way about sleep. yeah, insight timer can be helpful if you can't get to sleep. Thank you, Namisha. You relate to everything I've said. You're frozen and procrastinating, feeling overwhelmed. Your list gets bigger. Yeah, yes, sweetheart. Just one thing. Um, and that's just the kind of thing that I work with when I work with people. So reach out, check out my bio, follow me there, and there's a link in my bio as well where you can connect with me more. Because I've been exactly where you are. Yeah, exactly at various times, not just once, over and over and over again. So I totally relate to that. And I would say the biggest thing for me, there's a couple of things that I think are the biggest changes for me since I came across the three principles. And that is, my productivity levels and my relationships, my general botherness about other people, and which is why it's going to be fun next month to be exploring relationships, because that's another thing that's really close to my heart, as relationships are, of course. So lots of love, Namisha, and just one thing, only one thing at a time. That's the thing with overwhelm. When we're in the present moment, we've just got one thing to do, but of course our head is saying you've got 75 things to do. Really, we've just got number one. And number 75 doesn't even have to be in our heads, but if it's in our heads, along with the other 73, we will have a very, very busy mind, and therefore feel that frozen overwhelm. So, Namisha, I hope I see you out there. Oh, good luck. Oh, hearing appointment today for now. So that sounds, yeah, that'll be useful, especially if it's something you need to address. So, Ren, Fanaz, no, nobody thinks Fanaz is going crazy. Said to me, the ones who are going crazy, they aren't aware of it. Well, yeah, possibly. But I also think that, Ren, that's a whole exciting conversation we could have. Because I don't think any of us are crazy. We just think we are. Because society is telling us we are. And labels are telling us we are. And doctors who are medicating us telling us we are. None of us are. Nobody is. We're all perfect, whole, and well, Ren. And sometimes we have some passing thinking that makes us feel a little bit crazy. Yeah, but we've all got that, haven't we? It's not the thinking, it's not the feelings, it's the meaning making about them. We're all supposed to feel anxious sometimes, and sad sometimes, and depressed sometimes. That is normal. But of course, if we think it's not normal, we start to feel much worse. So that's a whole, if you explore some of my tracks, Ren, you'll see that there's lots of tracks that are pointed in that direction. There's, we're not anything. We're not anxious, we just think we are. We're not insecure, we just think we are. We're not crazy, we just think we are. We're not lacking in any way, shape, or form, we just think we are. And that power of thought it's so persuasive to all of us, So thank you so much, everyone. That's been lovely. If you have, if you are able, this is of course given by me on Insight Timer, and it would mean a lot to me if you are able to support me with a financial donation today. That is, I like the idea of an exchange of energy, but also, if you find this content helpful, then it feels, thank you so much if you are able to support me financially, because this has shifted something for you, as well, particularly if you've discovered that you're not crazy today. that's got to be helpful, hasn't it? But hopefully you found this conversation about overwhelm has brought some ease to your life. Please do follow me. Please check out my courses and my free tracks. And if you find any of my free tracks helpful, please feel free to share them with other people and recommend them, because I'm keen to spread this understanding as far and wide as I can, and that's one of the things that donations help me to do. Thank you so much, Jenny. That's lovely. You're one of my very regular donators, and that means a lot. It really does. So good luck with house moving and selling and all that kind of thing. I've not done that for 22 years. So I can't imagine. I think I'll just rent my house off and go live in the motorhome, and then somebody else can sort out with selling the house later on when I've gone, when I've left the planet. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully I'll see some of you. Yeah, Jenny. And Jenny, if you want to talk about it, you know where I am. Bless you. That's always available to all of you. It's a conversation because I love to chat. You probably noticed. I mean, I can talk for an hour just to myself. So, well, to all of you. But you know, I do love the conversations, and that those initial conversations are given to you from my heart. There's no cost implications. So, yeah. So hopefully I'll see some of you later in the week. Lots of love, and I look forward to seeing you as we explore last little bit on productivity for the next couple of days, and then relationships. Bring all your relationship shizzle to the party, and we will sort them all out, and then have a lovely, lovely experience of all the other people in our life, which is great, isn't it? So lots of love, everyone. Have a beautiful day, and I will hopefully see you all again soon.